Hey, welcome back. It's Coach and Cruz. It's been a while, but we're back. I'm Coach. As you can see, I got Cruiser here with me. What's going on, Cruiser? How you been?
Good. We're just wrapping up. I know you guys just wrapped up your baseball season. We are just wrapping up our little league season, which has been quite the year. We do a a batathon and a like carnival for the kids, like a fundraiser that cuts us off a week. We have spring break, which we don't play that week. We have a carnival for the high school, which we use for at our facility. So we've played 12 games, and it's taken us 16 weeks to do it. And so next week is our last regular season week. We have a bye, so we don't even play, and then everyone makes the playoffs, which I think is absolute blasphemy because we're getting close to the end of the school year. Our kids are done. They're getting ready for summer. I'm getting less and less kids at practice. All the things that you would expect from a 6, 7, and 8-year-old little league team. It's been a pretty good year, but it's time for all of us to move on to the summer. So I'm looking forward to that.
Nice. Today we are going to talk. I don't know. We got so much to talk about. It's been forever, but we got things like my return to baseball, a high school field. Haven't been on one in 13 years coaching. And we just wrapped up actually yesterday. My team, the JV team at Granite Bay High School, we finished a couple weeks ago, but I helped out the varsity for a couple weeks. We'll talk about that. Jury duty. That's something. Did you do it yet, or is it coming up?
So I have I've had conflicting thoughts on jury duty. I was summoned for jury duty,
Yeah.
which is supposed to be Monday. I want to know what your stance is on
Okay.
do you attend? Do you throw it
I
in
do
the
have
garbage?
thoughts.
Okay, good. I knew you would. And
I have. Well,
being
my,
be,
my old
be,
county that I lived in, I'll get into that, but I seem to get summoned like once a year.
yeah,
So
is it? I have a question. I don't even know if you know the answer. Is it your civic duty or your civil duty?
I think it's civic. We'll
I've,
have to
I've
look.
always I've always used civic, and then people use civil because I think those are the less intelligent people. I think, and I don't necessarily correct them. I've always used civic. I feel like it's your civic duty.
I'll,
And
I'll uh, look. I'll look at the phantom producer, otherwise known as Google, and we'll look that one up. We'll talk a little bit about the Giants, and I don't watch them very much because their product to me is boring AF at the moment. We'll get into their new coach and why it's kind of not that exciting, at least to me. 49ers draft, we missed on that, but we'll see. We'll talk about some of the draft picks. We'll see if we get to all these things. We got so much to talk about. We'll talk about the ABS, the automated balls and strikes. I got my flannel on today. I'm going out weed whacking because on my property it seems to be a weekend occurrence because everything up here in my town just grows like and literally weeds. So I'm going through gas like crazy, weed whacking pretty much every weekend. Um, and we'll talk about dominant players. Uh, can an individual dominate a sport and basically be the answer to teams winning championships basically on their own, even though it's a team sport? So hopefully we get to all that. I don't know if we will, but we'll start off with the baseball season, as you mentioned, Josh. Your season's winding down, but your season, you know, at that age ends now. But imagine in a few years when you do like the All Stars and all that stuff. I mean, you can go till the end of July.
yeah, and the interesting thing about the way you do it here, you'd think like we play. It's called Farm A, which is like uh, half coach pitch, half kid pitch. It's kind of introducing them to what real baseball is. We count outs. We have positions, 3 outs. We keep score, all that stuff. But at the end of the day, it's a long season. I think we ended up playing like 17 weeks is our season. At the end of the day, like I don't feel the need to have the 1 and 2 seed get a bye, and then we have this playoff, which lasts 3 consecutive days, the week of Memorial Day, and we just don't. We if you can imagine 6, 7, 8-year-olds pitching for the first time, like if in order for us to win, we have to win 3 consecutive games on 3 consecutive days, and we just don't. And because with little league and with even, as you know, with high school, once you throw X amount of pitches, you can't throw the next day. So you're talking about I have to if I was to win this thing, which we're not going to win this thing, and that's I'm very thankful for that to be quite honest. I don't even know if they give away a trophy. I think once you get into real baseball, which we call Double A now, which would have been like minors for us, I think playoffs are good there because it's straight kid pitch. It's real baseball. This is like a kid comes in, he throws to a hitter. If he walks the hitter doesn't go to first base. The coach comes in and finishes the at bat. If he hits the guy, he goes to first. If he puts it in play, it's real baseball. But it's real baseball ish. So for that reason, my guy can walk 5 guys, and the coach comes in and lollipops one in to hitters, and they're hitting the ball over the yard, which we would do too. I don't feel the need for there to be playoffs for that. I think it's kind of ridiculous, but it's what they do. So, and there's no benefit to being the 1 or 2 seed. Everyone plays, and it's just like a seeding thing, kind of like the NCAA tournament. And so we're somewhere in the middle. I think we're 5th or 6th. We're somewhere. I think we're 5 and 7. But it's just really hard, and you know this because you've had kids forever and you've coached kids forever, to keep them involved. I think what the biggest misconception with parents in youth sports, and I've said this forever, I've maybe even said it on here, like when kids want to play sports and their parents get them involved in sports, the parents know that they're going to have some sort of commitment to that sport. Well, you get to like halfway through the season and all of a sudden kids stop showing up to practice. So like us, like Logan and I, like we work on baseball, and we have a basketball hoop. We play basketball because he plays hoops too, like almost daily, and I tell the parents, like, if you think just going to practice with me for an hour and a half a week and then playing the game is enough for your kid to excel and get better, I challenge you on that. And I think you should, even if you were to play catch or roll your kids ground balls, or if you have the ability to throw them wiffle balls and have them hit, you could kind of sort of see at this age who's getting the work in and who's gotten like better from day one to now. They've all gotten better, but who's getting better more progressively than the others. And so it's sort of frustrating, and the parents kind of just sort of pack it in. I have 12 kids on my roster. I always it's kind of a funny thing I do with my other coaches. I set an over under and how many kids are going to show up.
Sure. Yeah.
And I tell you what, I'm damn close. And so we're getting to the point now. We have one more practice. It's on Tuesday. If we have 7 kids, I'm going to always make the last practice very fun. We'll do some stuff that you can, earn packs of Big League Chew and Gatorades. I'll bring all that stuff, and then we'll do like a speed challenge, a pitching challenge, a hitting challenge, just to make it fun for them. It's a long year for them. They're getting ready. The other thing is, obviously, since you're a teacher, is these kids are getting ready to get out of school. They see summer in the distance. And so it's just time, and it's time for us to, hopefully we play it. If we win one playoff game, that'd be great. If we lose the first playoff game, no sleep lost.
Right. No, I get that. I think there's another angle, to COVID and people being at home and people taking their kids out of things. I think that's so much easier now. Kids miss school whenever they want. They go on vacation.
Yeah.
Whenever they want. They don't wait in the summer. I think, sometimes you can't blame them, kind of off topic, because, everything gets priced up, jacked up price-wise over the summer. So when you're going during those peak times, and so if people are leaving now, they might not be showing up to practice just because they have homework or whatever, but some of these people just, being in education, I got kids like, where are you going? I'm going to be gone next week. Where are you going? Japan. It's like,
yeah.
what?
Yeah.
Like,
yeah.
what?
We had like a little bit of a heat wave, and we don't practice till 5 o'clock. So even if it's 95, which I don't feel is an issue being just bring what you're supposed to bring water. I give them plenty of water breaks. We had sort of a heat wave week where the weather was in the mid to upper 90s, but in Hollister we get the breeze off the bay, so off the ocean, so it's always breezy here. And at 5 o'clock, if it's 97 during the day, it might be in the high 80s with a breeze. And I had a day where it was like 97, and we had practice, and I had four parents call me and tell me they weren't bringing their little Johnny to practice because it was too hot. And I don't respond to those kind of things, but I just
Yeah.
laugh at them. And these are the kind of kids you're raising. My kid will never say that. He's never once said, "Daddy, it's too hot," because he knows it's not a possibility. What happens to the kids that play in Arizona, and the kids that play in Florida, and the kids that play in Texas? Do you think they get a 90-degree heat day? No, that's a cool day for them. So I was never big on that. You know me, I'm super old school. Why we get along so well. I don't. There's no way I can sit them for the game because everybody plays. But I
Right.
just kind of have that in the back of my mind, like, okay,
Well,
this is the kind of kids you're raising.
I think part of it is their age.
Yeah.
Because you're speaking to the commitment stuff. They're 7 years old, and it's not really their commitment; it's their parents. So
Oh, 100%.
I feel like when they get older, it's the same thing. At some point they need to learn it, but a lot of that stuff happens even at the high school level.
Without a doubt.
Speaking of, jumped back into coaching baseball this year. Coached 2 sports at Granite Bay. And what's interesting is, when you're at a school that's pretty good at sports, our football team went to the section championship game. It played till December. And then when school started back up in January, I didn't realize that baseball practice started that same day, especially since we have like a baseball PE class, 4th period athletic PE class that I teach, which is basically practice. And so, I started January 7th and finished yesterday. And we have basically one more week of school, and then football starts. That's my point. It's like, for me, a friend of mine who's in the PE office with me, he's like, "What are you doing?" And I'm like, "What are you talking about?" He's like, you don't get a break. I'm like, what? Kind of shrugging my shoulders. And now I'm like thinking, you know what? I don't. But
yeah,
that's part of, even at my older age, as I get closer to retirement, I'm not obviously quite there yet. Like, I'd rather be like doing stuff than not. It gives me something to look forward to and do.
Yeah, it's also what and it's what you're used to. My kid, even at 7 years old, plays. We play all sports, and they overlap. And last week he had a I call it a work week, his work week, which is athletics in school. We had something every day, and probably not too easy on a 7-year-old kid, but he never seems to complain about it. He's full of energy. And my goal, I always tell this to anybody who talks to me, because they say, "Oh, don't you want your kid to play baseball?" Like, yeah, sure. I mean, I think it'd be great if he was a good baseball player. My goal as a parent, I make school very, very important to him, and he's a really good student. And I just told him, I said, "Son, I want you to be passionate about something. Something. It could be soccer, it could be basketball, it could be football, it could be I want, because I know how important sports was for me in the development of the person I became. Granted, I was a pretty good baseball player, but if you stay active and you keep your schedule sort of full, it keeps us off the iPads. It keeps us outside playing stuff. I think that's super important for especially kids this age group and this day and age, with all the social media stuff and the iPads and all that kind of stuff and the gaming and all that. So the more we can play, he stopped, but we're still finishing our baseball season, but his hoops season starts already. So that's good for me too, because I like going to practice. I like teaching. I don't coach his basketball team, which is great because then I get to be a parent. and watch him get coached by other people, which I think is super important. You see a lot of these kids only get taught and coached by their parent, and then they get to high school and they look like they are fish out of water because they've only listened to daddy for the last 10, 12 years. So all that
Right.
stuff is really important to me, and that's what I sort of tell him to keep him sharp.
Well, I think that what you're saying is for adults as well. I mean that's my thing. I took on baseball again just because it worked out in my schedule at school. When I got hired, I told them I'd coach 2 sports, so I try to be a man of my word there with that. And then it worked out that being the JV coach fit as far as being able to have that PE class and rolling into class and then getting done with practice super early because my drive is a lot longer than other people that live by the school. So I'm 40 minutes both ways, but I get done with practice around 4:30, so I'm getting home at a decent hour. If I was practicing when school got out, starting at like 4 o'clock, I don't think I could do it because I'd be turning right around and going back to school every day. So
Yeah, I have a question for you. A couple things. Number one, I think I know the answer to this. You're going to continue doing this next year, I would assume, right?
yeah, the varsity coaches have asked me that question. The only way I could do it is if I keep that schedule, and the
Right.
school has it set to be that way. So until that changes,
And would you rather stay in the position you're in and be the JV head coach, or if offered, would you rather be an assistant on varsity?
so I'm trying to think of how that would work. It could work both ways because the varsity originally had the 4th period PE class.
Mm-hmm.
And so I could do that because if I was teaching and somebody was actually coaching the JV guys, or the JV guys came with the varsity during the class, it would just have to work out to where,
How about
I'm in that class.
personally, what would you prefer?
I don't know. I mean, I had a good time with the JV group. As you know, I'm different in my style, and these young guys who play this travel ball all the time, and I'm not in the travel ball world. They ran into an old school guy that holds them accountable to a lot of things, and I don't know if they're ready for that. But as the season progresses, and my consistency with the discipline and all that stuff stayed the same, I think they realized who I was on that end of it. And I would think I'm considered like a player's coach because I'll coach you up, but if like you're pretty good at baseball, I'm not going to change you that much. I'm not going to go full like Tiger Woods, change your swing after winning 10 major championships and you completely redo everything.
Yeah, just my experience. I would have guessed you would have said being the head coach, because I think one of your best qualities as a coach, and it doesn't matter what sport, but just as it pertains to baseball, is that discipline. And I would consider you like a leader of men, right? And that's what I saw as a kid. How old was I? Shit, I was 15 years old. And when you're sort of 15 and 16 years old, you're sort of lost. A lot of us are going through puberty and our bodies are changing and all that kind of shit. And when you get in with a person like you don't really know what to expect. Granted, you got kind of thrown into our thing. But like, that's what I think that would, if I was the varsity coach, I would say, hell no, I want Brad to stay on JV because at least I know what I'm getting once this kid gets called up for playoffs or for sections or wherever it is. It's nice to know that this kid's not going to be some dickhead who's just a pretty good player. Maybe he's a pretty good player. Now he has some discipline to add it with it. And then hence why we did so well when we were with you. And then, the proof is in the pudding. Granted, we were also very good. The very next year we did what we did. So that's kudos to you. But I think that's important, like, especially with this younger age, is to get a gauge of how and what you have and being able to move it forward and progress with these young kids, especially in high school. It's really tough at times, as you know, being a teacher and a coach, to get in their brains and to know what they're really thinking. And so I think that's really, really good that you did that, because I think it's really beneficial for them moving forward as they progress into varsity baseball.
Well, I think it was also good. Our varsity program is really solid program in our area, and the communication between the varsity coaches, not just the head coach,
Hmm.
was really helpful both ways. They knew because they were new to me too, the coaches. But
Hmm.
I would tell the players, my team, how the varsity viewed them. I especially had a postseason one-on-one little interviews, and basically told them what the varsity thinks of them. Just not pulling any punches. They don't have to like it, or they could agree with it, whatever. But it's like the honesty that these kids maybe don't get somewhere. I don't know. The honesty's the brutal truth sometimes. And I just told them on some things. I said, you don't have to like some of this stuff. I said, but the beauty of all this is they control the factors of getting bigger and stronger and getting better at certain things. Or, some, at high school level, there's pitcher onlys now. I used to think
Sure.
that was like only a major league thing, and then it was in college, and now down in high school, kids are told that, they're going to stop hitting and doing all that stuff. And some of these guys, I'm like, yeah, they're tagging you as a PO, and their eyes just light up. I'm like, hey, if you don't like that, get in the cage. I give them all this other stuff, and I said, you're running into it. Depends. Obviously, all this depends on what your program, whatever school you're at, has at the varsity level. You might come in and be a position player and pitch and hit and do all that other stuff. And we have 9 varsity sophomores. There are, and that was midway through my season. The last 2 guys were brought up. They had 7 to begin with, and they're all studs up there. And then I had 5 freshmen on my team, and so you're looking at like nine more sophomores that got to try and beat their friends out at the varsity level, plus the solid juniors that they had that are going to be seniors. So
Yeah,
it's a
we
good
used to,
problem.
even in that Saratoga, I was there for 5 years. I love that. We had one-on-ones with everybody, even the varsity guys. And we did the JV and the varsity. We sat in with the JV ones and just sort of let them know, like, hey, this is what's in front of you. Um, and we
Right,
even told, like, we have a junior catcher that was going to be a senior, and he played as a junior. He was a starter. But, like, wait, hold on a second. Just so
right.
you know, there's a sophomore that played JV, because we don't need 2 starting catchers at 2 levels when one guy's a sophomore. Don't think for a
Right.
second that you're going to be the starter next year. Don't walk into this baseball field thinking that this job is yours. It's your job to lose potentially, right?
Right.
But there's
Well,
people that want your job, and it's how hungry are you to go get it.
that's what I was talking about with the honesty. It's like I don't want you to be surprised either
Right?
way.
Right.
As a
Sure.
young guy, you can
Sure.
go out there and take the guy's job because you're a hard worker. All that, whatever. Pick your side you want to take. And I was brutally honest with some kids how hard they work or don't work. Some kids have talent but don't work that hard. Other
Sure.
kids lack a little talent but work really hard. And I tell those guys, like, you're a guy that I'd be scared of at the varsity, if I was, because you might outwork somebody and beat somebody out who, like you're talking about, that thinks they just have the job. So good for
Yeah, we
you
have
to do that.
we had a guy. I know you know him. I don't think you coached, but see, I was a sophomore. He was no, Tim Reimer.
Hmm.
You probably remember the name.
Yeah.
Uh, 5'6", didn't play varsity baseball until his senior year. Became pretty good, but was a guy that will just outwork you.
Right.
A
I
guy that
remember.
was on, yeah, a guy that was on nobody's radar. Um, Ended up playing well his senior year. undersized. I mean, completely undersized, Brad. You know that. Like I'm talking like
Yeah,
5,
like
6, 150. Like very, very great second baseman. Wasn't fast, like wasn't slow, but wasn't like fast for his size either. So he didn't have like that tool. Well, anyway, went to JC, played 3 years, redshirted his freshman year because of his size. Especially when you get to JC, you're talking about a little bit different level with people, recruiting and all that kind of stuff. Went to West Valley, redshirted, played his redshirt freshman year and redshirt sophomore year, which I got to play with him, and was an absolute fucking stud. A guy that, like I said, never played varsity baseball till his senior year. I had the ability to play all 4 years, so that's cool for me. But this guy worked so fucking hard that he ended up getting a scholarship to play at Sacramento State, which is like, he's one of my best friends. Like, kudos on guys like that, especially you see it like you see in high school, that have the ability to fight through all that adversity at his size. It wasn't like this guy was big, strong, fast. He had some tools, pretty good hitter, great infielder, didn't run tremendously well, but a guy just would not give up and will just outwork the absolute shit out of you until he got what he wanted. And he got what he wanted, and he got a free education out of it. Has been a very successful person ever since. So he's a firefighter in Contra Costa now. So he's been a firefighter like 15 years. So I always tell people, like, I use that example a lot because of his situation and how he treated it and how it ended up for him. And look what it can do. So I always tell people, like, don't let the next person outwork you, especially if you got somebody on your heels that's maybe a grade or two below you, or you have an incoming freshman coming in. I'll never forget, he loved to get hit. Like, he gets hit by pitch, like he would like scream. He was a high
I
intensity.
remember all that about him.
His license plate in college, he used to drive this little Acura hatchback, who he looked like he could barely even sit in and see over the steering wheel. It said, "Wear it," and he wore number 2. It said, "Wear it 2." And so that's like how he lived his life, is getting hit by pitches. He was the guy that you could hit him in the face and he wouldn't even fall to the ground. He would sprint to first base and scream at you on the way. One of those guys that, like, if he's on your team, you absolutely fucking love the guy. If you're playing against him, you think he's the most annoying person in the entire USA. So, like, I love telling stories like that, and I love playing with guys like that. And that's the stuff that you get. Like, some guys don't blossom till later, and some guys can just work their way, because he was a good player. He got stronger, he got faster, and it got him a D1 college scholarship, which is pretty unheard of in the situation that he was in.
Yeah. And I remember him because I had coached at Westmont the year before I coached you guys, and he was like that. I saw him play a couple times when we played each other. I don't know if I saw him play other times, but I just remember that about him. Yeah, so I mean, there's all that happens with these kids, and it ends up kind of shaking itself out. And that's kind of what I tell these, early on, everyone's trying to figure each other out, and then you get into the season and you're kind of rolling. I could talk forever about this. It was just, it was fun. I have a self rule, and I don't know if this works for everybody, especially this day and age with people like wanting to have a lot of communication. Definitely communicated to the parents through like apps and stuff, and when games were and rainouts and whatever, the information they needed to know. But other than that, I don't talk to the parents. I don't want their opinion about anything. And I tell them that I did have a team mom that I basically told her, I said, I'm talking to you. You get the information out about fundraising and whatever else we need to do. But, and she was super nice. And then, her kids scuffed a little bit through the season, had freshmen that played for us, and, her communication would kind of back off a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
Early on, it was like hyped when her, kid was batting leadoff and playing a couple weeks in a row. So that's my point. She's super nice and is super nice, but it was like, I'm not going to get too friendly with people because shit could turn on you. Just like that. All of a sudden, he deserved to be out of the lineup, and he was. Nothing against him, great kid, just wasn't performing that well. And all of a sudden now these people that were friendly with you,
Of course.
and again, it's human nature. It's like for baseball, all these parents want 8 kids to play and their kid.
Right.
8 other starters and their son. It's like, and that's where, I fight that off based on their performance. I don't pull any punches. You're not strike out 3 times, I'm probably not starting you.
Right.
Next. I mean, and that's fair. Is that not fair? The other kid had a good practice and let him get some at bats. It's JV baseball. Or, wait till next year when you aren't very good and you pout, you're not getting in at all. I mean, I saw that with 25 guys on the varsity team, 9 play. Sorry, you could be good and on the bench of our varsity team. You could be a really good player. You could start and be an all-league player at another school. If you want to be at our place, your ass might be in you got to beat somebody out. I mean, and that's what we went to the section semifinals. We lost in that 3-game series yesterday, but it's like, hey, and you watch it. The kids on our team have to beat people out. So the competition within your own team is really nice to have. It, I haven't been around that. Football at our place is tough. We don't have that because it's such football. I think it's a different sport in that regard. But if you have competition in baseball within your own program, that puts you near the top because, these other guys want to get on the field too. So
exactly. Yeah.
Anyway, let's move on. We can keep talking about baseball if you want, or did you want to hit the jury duty and break?
Yeah, I just want to hit the jury duty thing. It won't take long. It's very funny. I always wondered when I moved to Hollister 6 years ago, because I'm from Santa Clara County. This is San Benito County. I get a jury summons from Santa Clara County, but I'd already switched my address here. So I was thankful. I'm like, yes, I'm off. So I signed the thing. Well, since then, so back in the day, this is what I'm sure. You used to call in. You call and you put your group number in there and they'd say, show up or you're excused. Or you might have to call back the next day. Well, now it's all done on the internet. So anyway, I get this little card, probably the same card they used to send out. And it's the same day, and this is also funny, the same day I get my registration for my truck. So I'm assuming they probably use the DMV database for this because it's legitimately the same day. And so then, because I bartend for a living, I don't get paid if I don't work. 90% of the time, 80% of the time, you're probably going to get called off. But in the 20% or 15% that you get called in, and I'm missing work, you're talking. They said something like you get $9 a day, or I don't even know what the rate is, but I don't get paid. So I started my wheels start spinning a little bit, and I'm sort of a rule follower. I'm not an extremist when it comes to that kind of stuff. I've never not called in for jury duty. And so I started, because I bartend for a living, I see a lot of people that, retired guys and police officers, retired firefighters, all this. So I start to ask around, what do I do here? Do I roll the dice and put my little number in there online, and now they know I got my thing,
Right.
Or do I just say, fuck it? What are they going to do? Here's the deal, which I think is really interesting. So I've probably asked 100 people this, like, number one, it's not sent certified, meaning they have no fucking idea that I received it. Number one. Number two, even if I did receive it and I just forgot about it, they're not going to come arrest you for that's not an arrestable offense. I talked to multiple people and they said for the last 20 years, and I would not do this, 20 years, every time they've gotten a jury summons, they've ripped it up and threw it in the garbage can and moved on with their life. So with that being said, and my jury duty starts on Tuesday, I start my work week on Wednesday. I am not willing to risk. I've weighed my options for like 2 weeks here. I'm not willing to risk the small chance that I have to go in and be on a trial, or even if I just get called in for a few days and I have to miss work, it's going to cost me thousands of dollars essentially. And so I said, fuck it. I'm going to pretend like this shit never got to me. I'm ripping it up and I'm throwing it away. I'm sure I will be recycled back in the thing and they're going to send me something in the mail in a year or 6 months or 4 months. I don't know the timetable. At that moment, where I stand at that particular time, I will then make this same decision all over again.
Well, I feel like since we're podcasting and live streaming to the world, you've now told everybody, and they'll come hunt you down and make you look for something. Someone's going to knock your door in about 5 minutes.
Right.
So the county I lived in, Nevada County, for 25 years, smaller. Actually, the county had a lot of people, just spread out, but the town I lived in had like 15,000 people or so. But I swear there was like a 5-year stretch where I got jury summons once a year. And I went in there, same deal. They called one time, I took school off. I went to the courthouse because I called and I had to go. And I walked up to the courthouse. They're like, if you're in the 200s or whatever it was, you can go home. And I'm like, turn right around. Now I had a day off. Took the day off. Now I just stuck. What am I going to do here? So most of the time I got called out. And then one time I went in and there was a ton of people. And I'm in like the courtroom and there's 100 people. I don't know how many people.
Yeah.
And they're whittling, they're trying to find, you're listening, and the lawyers are this, and they're basically, they have like a sheet, like a call sheet for a NFL coach looking down the play sheet, and all of our names are on that, and probably a little bit of history of what our job is or whatever. And they basically were like excusing like 5 people at a time. But I was there from like 8 a.m. to like 4 o'clock, and I was like one more row away, and I knew how many they had already, and I'm like, please pick one more person. The 12 and there's alternates.
Yeah, alternates. Yeah,
so it's not like it's 12.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know, I was like 1 or 2 rows away, maybe 10 people away from me. They didn't get to me as far as like asking me questions, but I was going to come up with some, figure out what the case is and be like, I love murderers.
Yeah.
I'm pro murder or whatever.
I don't really know the complete protocol. It's funny because one of my assistant coaches, he's a fire captain in Aptos, and we have a text thread with the wives and us, and he helps me coach baseball. Not a baseball guy, but just a good guy, and he misses a lot of it. But I just love having him around. He's got complete energy. He went to West Valley with me, and we both ended up in Hollister, which is kind of strange. And I've coached his son. His son's a stud baseball player. He kind of plays up. He's younger. And on the text thread yesterday, his wife checked in, so now she's in, right? And they pushed our group. We're in the same group number. They pushed our group back from Monday to Tuesday. And she said, did you check in? I said, absolutely not. I'm not checking in. I'm ripping it up and throwing it away. And she goes, God damn it. My husband, fire captain, said the same exact thing. I said, well, that makes me feel a lot better, because if nothing less, I'll get thrown back into the system and they'll give me one in X amount of months. And at that point, I will make that decision at that time. Currently, I have too much going on. I can't risk, even at the 5%. If it's 5% that I'm on a jury, I'm screwed, dude. We have trips coming up. I have to, and with my job, my job is, based on me making money weekly. I make cash. So if I'm on a 2 or 3 week trial, we're talking, $5,000-$6,000 I'm losing out on. And how am I supposed to go to Bass Lake for Logan's birthday on June 28th? And then we go to Tahoe the second week of July. And then we end up going, we do like an adult thing. We go to Cabo every year. And that's at the end of July. I'm like, I cannot, at this moment with summer coming up, I'm not going to get arrested. I'm not going to get fined. I've never done this before. Granted, it's hard for me to talk about this and not feel bad about it, because I am that person who follows rules. I'm gonna roll the dice this time and just not go.
I feel like you can get away with it. I did it. I did the same thing, but I got I don't know if it was a letter, and it was like, you need to call us or email or whatever and explain why you weren't there. And I'm like, really? Like,
I
how
mean,
many
can't
other
you?
people?
Yeah, can't you just? Well, you can. Even if I received it, can't you just say, "Oh, it slipped my mind"? I mean,
Well,
jury duty is not something you do on a weekly or even annually thing. Like, oh,
how
I
about
totally
this?
forgot it was this week.
How about this? My boys, again, living at the old house, they would
Yeah.
get jury summons and they don't even live in the state.
Mm-hmm.
They registered in Idaho where they live now. It's like, you guys keep sending this out, and I checked the box. Like, there's a thing that said like, don't live. Like, if you aren't checking that when I send it back to you, that's on you.
Well,
And what, they're
now
not going to go
they've
hunt these guys down.
they've gotten more intelligent though now, because if there was a box to check, like some people say, oh, they give you like one free pass. You can say, oh, I can't make it for whatever. Here, check this box. Well, now, no, no, no. They're smarter. You still get the same card, but on that card is either a website or a phone number. And if you
Right,
call or put your stuff in there, now they know you've received it. You know what I'm
right.
saying? So essentially, you could probably do that. Like if they were sent to Owen or something like that, you could go online and just click that box, and you'd feel comfortable doing that. Well, me, knowing that it's me
Right,
doing it,
right.
I'm not doing that.
Yeah, you could say the mailman dropped it between his seat. You don't
You're
know.
right. Exactly.
So yeah, and I looked online. The Google AI says it's the civic duty. Civic duty.
Civic duty. Okay.
Jury
Good.
duty is a fundamental civic duty alongside voting, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Anyway, let's talk a little bit about Giants baseball. On the baseball on this one. I've watched a little. I mean, I enjoy watching baseball. You know this because people get bored of watching baseball, but it's like all the games within the games, how people pitch people and da da da. But the Giants starting off haven't been that great, and like I don't know if it's the new coaching staff with Vitello and or what. I just am not enthusiastic about turning on a Giants game. I mean, I'll scroll through, watch an inning here or two, but I haven't. I don't feel, maybe it's just because I don't have time to sit there and watch a full game, but it's like they don't do anything to excite me. I mean, they have good players, but I think we talked about it in previous like Adamas and the Devers. I don't know. They're
Yeah,
just boring to me.
I think I call it I always tell the people this. I call it the Vitello experiment. Um, I was wondering, the only thing when it comes to especially Major League Baseball, everyone that played professionally will tell you that players play. That's a fact. You could you could manage a big league baseball game for a day, and it wouldn't look all that different than what he's doing. I promise you.
Right.
You know enough about the game because the guys that they're paying $25 million, Adamas and Chapman, and they just got rid of Bailey, and they have all these guys, Jung Hoo Lee, who they paid a lot of money to, um, and so, and obviously Devers. Uh, I think the only thing that I can think that maybe could be a problem as far as Vitello goes is maybe I don't know because I'm not in that clubhouse, is maybe they don't respect him a ton. But even with that being said, those guys have to play better. I just looked this morning. Matt Chapman's hitting 217 with one home run. Adamas is hitting like 205 with four home runs. Devers has gotten kind of hot lately. Um, but our starting pitching is really, if you look at our starting, it is really bad. The guys we signed and we thought we could just kind of, what we did was we got like four number five starters, and all of a sudden we think we're going to plug them in and play and pitch and you're going to get guys out. Well, the problem is if you can't get guys out and you're not hitting, this is what you're going to get. So
Yeah, no, I think that the like what you said about paying all these guys and pitching and whatnot it's just, I don't know. Maybe it's how they started off and it obviously wasn't very good. And will it get better? Maybe. I don't know. I don't know. They had the base running errors, a third base coach doing dumb thing. Like, I don't know if that's all part of it or what. I don't, I think part of just baseball in general right now for me is that, going back to what we were talking about earlier, that the time element of coaching and teaching and getting home at 7:00. The games are just coming on, but it's like I might be watching that or NHL playoffs or something briefly, and then I'm going to bed. Like,
Right.
I'm not staying up till the ninth inning.
10:30. Yeah, it was funny. I cannot explain this, and I've talked to a lot of my baseball people about this since it happened. They beat the Dodgers in LA the first 2 days. Everybody's feeling good, and then we have Ohtani on. Was it Thursday night? Yeah, Wednesday night, and we're down 4-0 in the top of the 8th inning. I'll give you the situation. Man on first and second, 1 out. They just pulled Ohtani. We get 2 hits off Ohtani. That's what it was. So they bring in the reliever. I forget who's at the plate. He pumps one in the left center field gap. We are down 4-0 in the 8th. So even if he hits the ball out, we're still down 4-3. 1 out. Rule of thumb is, as a runner on second base, kind of go as far as the ball will allow you to go. Also knowing what the score is, because your run means absolutely fucking nothing. You're down 4-0.
Right.
Ball gets hit pretty well in the gap. Adames just takes off from second base and is scoring. The guy's can't, when the ball falls, the guy's camped under the ball. He kind of just lobs into second base and inning over. I'm like, how, and that's not a coach thing. That's Adames. He was our shortstop.
But that's also could be cultural within the, he's not going to get punished by the coach.
No. But
you know what I'm saying?
But as a player, how do you not know the situation? You're down 4 in the 8th with 1 out. Your run means nada, and you just take off. You're getting paid I think it's paid $28 million. I don't even know what the number is. It's fucking
That's
ridiculous.
What I'm saying. I think even at that level, there's some accountability that needs to happen. If you're doing shit like that, for sure.
Yeah, they showed this clip, and nobody will ever know the answer. Our bullpen coach for the Giants, a guy that I came up with, his name is Jesse Chavez. He played, we call him Flacco, skinniest guy you've ever seen, but he played 16 seasons in the major leagues. He just retired last year. He's our bullpen coach. Very knowledgeable, super good dude. Well, Vitello has 2 guys warming up. I'm not sure if you saw this. This is maybe a week or 2 ago. So these guys have phones, pitching coaches are on it. Vitello is watching the game within the game. He's managing the game. The pitching coach and all those guys and the bullpen guys, they're all communicating with each other through Vitello, just kind of like you would communicate through your team mom, right? So Vitello in pro ball, depending on when you're going to pull your starter, you might get a right-handed guy and a left-handed guy up. Well, right. Vitello walks out to take the pitcher out, and I don't know what he does. He just calls for a pitcher as if, usually you would go righty or lefty. Well, Vitello, I think, forgot that he had 2 guys up. And so he just says, he walks out. So obviously they're making a change. Yeah. He just said, give me the pitcher. And Jesse Chavez, a friend of mine, I played with him for 4 years. He's in the bullpen like this. Which guy do you want, dude? You have 2 guys here. And it was they made this big deal about it. And I don't know, obviously lack of communication, but if you have 1 guy in the bullpen, obviously you want that guy. But if you have a righty and a lefty, you can't just guess which guy you want. And so that kind of worried me a little bit. What is really going on here?
That's what I'm saying. I feel like he's probably a really good coach, obviously is a really good coach. But when you're at that level, you go up to the next level, everything's magnified. Mm-hmm. You can't forget that stuff. It just makes you look foolish. It makes you look like the wrong guy. You might be the right guy. Maybe he needs a year under his belt, but in pro sports, you're not waiting for a manager to season himself up. You got to pick. That's why a lot of like NFL like coaches or whatever get recycled. And everyone goes, "Oh, they're picking that guy again." Well, yeah, because he's coached.
Yeah, like
He knows.
like the Mike McCarthy thing. That's why. Yeah, you know what
Yeah,
you're
I
gonna
mean,
you know what you're gonna get, right? If Dave Roberts, right, multiple World Series champion, I don't know what kind of coach he is. I don't know him as a person at all. If he was to do the same thing Vitello did, nobody would even talk about it. But
right,
Vitello needs to understand that everything is magnified on him because number one, not only is it his first year as a big league manager, it's his first year as a professional coach.
right,
And so if you brought him in to like inject energy into your guys, well, they're not getting it because your best players aren't playing well. All of them. It's not like Adamas is playing bad and Chapman's doing well and Devers is doing well and Bader's doing well. Well, you've already your two-time Gold Glove catcher, you've already sent him off, which I think was a really smart idea because he just wasn't hitting. But like everything that Vitello does is magnified 1,000 times because of his situation. And they were showing like pictures of him. Where is University of Tennessee? Is it Knoxville? I don't even know where it's
yeah,
at. Is it Knoxville?
yep.
Walking down, like they were like walking into their game, their bus, and Vitello's getting high five, wearing his Tennessee uniform, getting ready for a game. Like those days are over, bud. If you wanted that, you could have, and he was getting paid great. I don't even know if he might have taken a pay cut to come to the Giants. I don't know what the figures are. I think he's figured, if nothing else, he's sort of figured out that this game, and I knew this because going from college baseball, where it's like super team this, we're all in this together. Who cares if you get out as long as we win? And then I took that team thing into pro ball, and I was like fish out of water. Like, oh shit, I'm the only guy that cares about us winning. So it took me like a year or two to figure out, fuck this, man. If everyone else is in it for themselves, then I'm in it for myself too, because I'm not going to be stuck here worrying about what our shortstop's doing and wanting him to do well. I wanted everybody to do well, don't get me wrong.
Right.
But the faster I figured that out, the more successful I was moving forward, because then I started to figure out what the pro game is in comparison to the college game. It is a completely different animal. So,
well, and that's, I feel like, again, they'll show him, and it's a couple times that I've seen it, and he's just staring out in the field. But I sit there and I look at him when they show him for a quick second. I'm going, see in over his head? Is that the face of a guy that's just like,
why did I do this?
Well, and just to think, is he thinking about the game in that moment, or is he thinking about the whole, everything that he stepped into, like things that we don't even know about, like, or is that running through his head during the game? Because sometimes it's just like that mistake he makes without, like, he's thinking about 50 other things than what pitcher to bring in. But in that moment, that's what concerns me, is because then, like, if let's say they're in a playoff hunt or they make the playoffs, like, what kind of stuff is he going to call? I mean,
Yeah,
you still got to manage the game, the actual baseball game of it, not just your locker room. And
when we signed, especially with the culture that we have, and we've had winning culture. Obviously, we won in 10, 12, and 14. When we signed Melvin, I was like, oh no, because it just seems like, and Bob Melvin's was a good player, been managing for a long time, but I was like the safest pick you could actually pick, right? And it didn't really work out. Okay, at the time, Stephen Vogt, who just played with us, played for the A's, catcher.
Right.
Well, I love managers that were catchers. A lot of them are. Stephen Vogt is interviewing for us. We choose Melvin over Vogt. The Melvin experience didn't work out so well. Stephen Vogt goes over to the Indians, not the Guardians, because I don't call them the fucking Guardians. And I think he's won like 2 divisions out of 3 years. A guy that's been in the big leagues. I'd rather have a guy that played in the big leagues for a long time, like possibly a catcher. Doesn't matter what position he plays, but a catcher, for example. And then you want a guy that's never coached before at the professional level. I trust a guy that's been around the big league guys, right, like Stephen Vogt, more than I trust a guy that's never even coached at the professional level at all. And right, so maybe this is very, preliminary, because we're only 45
yeah.
games.
But it's not a good look.
But it's what we have. We're going off of what we have. The smallest of sample sizes were 25 games or 25% of the games of the year. We're going off of what we see, and that's what I see. I don't know if he's lost the locker room. I don't even know if that's even possible for big league guys. But in his defense, our players need to play better. Our players that we're paying all this money for have to play better, or no matter who the manager is, this is the product you're going to get.
Yeah. Bob Melvin, also a catcher.
Yeah, I know.
I think you knew that. Hey, let's do one more. Let's talk about this because it's on my mind, or the baseball game that I witnessed yesterday. Granite Bay High School, like I said, we ended our season 3-game series versus St. Mary's of Stockton, and they have a really good pitching staff, including a kid that threw yesterday that's, I think, going to Mississippi State. And he threw, I think it was a little bit off, believe it or not, even though he struck out 12 yesterday. Because they were just, he threw really hard, but it didn't look like it was as hard as I thought it would be. Maybe seeing 90 plus up close, I don't know, whatever. But my point is, I think high school pitchers can dominate a game unlike maybe any other athlete in a team sport in any level, right? I mean, I want to get your take on this, because let's use like Jordan or anybody in the NBA. Kevin Durant comes to the Warriors when they had good players, and you have a group of like 2 or 3 guys that make your team strong, especially if it's basketball with only 5. But I don't even think like Tom Brady, all the quarterbacks in the NFL, the rules are slanted towards them, and they're good players. But when you see the NFL opening of the game and it's this quarterback versus this quarterback, a lot of times it's not even like, the Bills versus the Chiefs. It's Josh Allen versus Mahomes. And what about the 11 guys that are playing defense for both teams?
Right.
You know what I mean? Like, those guys are obviously huge parts of winning, but I think there's very few in a team sport environment where you could be the best hitting team in a high school around, and you face a guy like that, and especially in a series or even a 1-game situation, and a guy mows through you that particular night, and you can't do anything about it, and your season's over. And what do you think of my theory?
I completely agree. I think it probably gets magnified the most in high school, because that's when you start seeing guys get really, really good at their craft. But you can go all the way back to, I watched like a buddy of mine's girls softball game. You go see a 12-year-old softball game and you get a good pitcher, that team's winning that game. Little league baseball, like I did it when when I was growing up. You got that hard throwing guy, and when he's on the mound, you're not hitting him, and then you go. I think it gets magnified the most in high school, because that's when players are like, you're seeing guys, low to mid 90s and throwing in high school. That's a special attribute to have. And then you go all the way forward, and you go see a guy like Shohei Ohtani, what he does, and now you're really talking. And that's why I say it's very early to say, but for what he does when he's available to pitch and what he does offensively, my only renege on what you said is that pitchers only throw every 5th day. So, quarterbacks play every day. But in a 1 game, if it's a game 7 setting, not only do you have to deal with Shohei Ohtani on the mound, or a Paul Skeens. Watch Paul Skeens throw. I think he's like they were talking about this morning, his last 5 starts, he's taken a no-hitter into the 6th inning all 5 times. That is fucking unreal, dude. These are big league hitters.
Right.
And so I think you're right. I don't see any other sport. I think what Kevin Durant did for the Warriors was he was a compliment to other really good players.
Right. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah. I mean, a pitcher in any sport, That's a team sport. You could call, golfers and Tiger Woods, but that's an individual sport, very different. Tennis, same thing. I know there's really good hockey players and stuff like that, but there's nobody that can dominate one single game than a dominant pitcher. There's just no way around it.
Yeah, I feel like being a part of the varsity staff the 2 weeks for the playoffs and just not having a huge role. I was just more there as kind of just
extra
watching
body
and learning and throwing some ideas out at a coach and here and there and just that kind of stuff. But knowing that everybody knew that this guy was going to throw, there's a mental part of it too. I think our kids.
You texted me the night before.
Yeah.
I mean, obviously.
Well, and I knew, because I was curious what, never seen the guy before.
Yeah.
What's funny is the very first pitch of the game, our leadoff hitter takes him deep.
Home run.
Oh yeah. First pitch. We're going nuts.
Oh God.
Yeah. In fact, the day before, he did the same thing. Same kid. Led off the game first pitch.
Good on him. Good on him. So that's well, I guess more kudos to the pitcher for being able to settle down. That game can go sideways quickly if he starts throwing, if he's ball foreign guys and stuff like that. So
the next two guys barrel up. So I think one was a hit, another was an out. And our dugout's pretty hyped, and we got the lead. And
the Grizzlies are ready for the challenge.
Well, and then we're throwing a sophomore again because we have 9 sophomores on the. He's their ace. We're on fumes pitching staff wise.
Yeah, that's how it works. It always works.
And our sophomore kid decides to walk like the first 3 hitters he faces, and so luckily, end of the second inning, it's 4-1, I believe we're losing, and it could have been 12. It could have been. We gave up 3 hits in 7 innings, 3 hits, and they beat us 7-1. If they get us any more hits in there, it's at least 15.
I have a
7
theory.
walks. But the point is, going back to this guy, he freaking settled down, and what I was telling our coaches, they know this, like our pitchers weren't competitive around the strike zone. This guy missed by an inch a ball inside, outside the plate, up. And when he missed big, he, did it on purpose. But, 12 strikeouts. I think only 1 was looking, though, which is pretty good. But, he just put right around the box of the strike zone the whole entire game. And that's what, to me, the difference. I think we got 3 or 4 hits. We might have out hit them, believe it or not, but they were just a single here and then nothing else. And so, anyway, it's just, and I didn't feel like our kids were intimidated. You could see that sometimes, right? But when you got guys just dominate, it's like you said with Otani or whoever, it's just different. You could be a good hitter and you're not. He had everything going to his slider. He's a 4-pitch guy. Threw everything. In fact, his fastball was probably his worst pitch yesterday, even though it was pretty good. I think I counted like the middle innings. Every time he got 2-0 on our hitters, he threw like a curveball or a slider for a strike. Every time
because it was a pitch that felt good to him yesterday.
Yeah, and he threw it like everything for strike, change up, everything. Just dominant.
Yeah. For you guys,
it was a great performance.
I say this all the time with my trip when I used to coach travel ball for my college kids back in the day. Baseball is really weird, like you guys scored 1 in the first, right? Which is great. Lead off homer. You guys are into the game. Even if you just get the 1, if your sophomore goes out there and throws up a goose egg, and then you guys go score again in the second, and then you throw up another goose egg, now you're talking.
No, I know.
The problem is, as soon as you got the 1 run, they got the momentum dramatically back by ball foreign their guys, and now they're like, okay, we're because I guarantee you, your leadoff guy homers, first pitch of the game, and they're like, shit. And then you got barrel. Like, okay, they're like, okay, fuck, maybe we can lose this game. And then you go to the bottom of the first, and all of a sudden you put up a 3 spot or wherever it was without really getting hit around because you're ball foreign guys. Now you get to the top of the second. Now the guy's like, all right, now I'm fucking good now. Like, here we go. You know?
No,
I would
it's
say
exactly what happened. I mean, and I knew it when it was happening, watching it, because he was rattled the day before we walked them off.
Mm-hmm.
They're the better team. They're older. You know, most of their better players are seniors.
Most people are going to be older. Most people are going to be older than you guys.
And so they should be dominating us, and they're not. They couldn't put us away. That we lead off and do all that stuff, like you said, and then probably by the third inning, really both pitching staffs, but especially that guy, you know, he started throwing harder. Believe it or not.
Oh, without a doubt.
Everything was more relaxed.
Everything's freed up. Everything's freed up.
Yep. And they played crappy defense from what I saw until, you know, from about the third inning on yesterday. You know, every ball that's hit to them, they're, you know, taking off the chest and making the throw. The last out of the game, you know, the guy who led off the game with the home runs, like one of the fastest kids in the area, if not the fastest baseball player by far around, and hit a ball up the middle. Their shortstop dives to his left, full 360 spin without wasted motion, and it's like a bang bang play at first to end the game. You know, so they're hyped. I mean, it was a great friggin' play, but it's like they're all relaxed because that's the other part of this philosophically, you know, right? You got your dude on the mound, you got the lead. Now, not only he relaxes, the rest of the team, the coaches.
Oh, you can play free and easy, man.
Yep. We gave up 1, we got 2. Like, the game's over. They just know, you know.
Yeah.
The guy has like a 0.59 ERA.
Yes. I always say that, especially being like the underdog. That doesn't have to be a series, but if it's like a 1 game thing and you guys are the underdog, which you were with that guy on the mound, if you're always going to be visitors, probably if you're, you know, whatever, if you're the visiting team and you can score first and throw up a donut and score again in the top and throw up another donut. I'm telling you, that guy doesn't make it through the 4th inning.
Yeah.
You want to see him get a little bit of erratic because he's still human. Pitchers are weird. Pitchers are weird people, dude. Like, and all of a sudden he's a mental midget, and all of a sudden, see, the goal of what you guys should have been doing, and it doesn't matter now. It's hindsight now, but it's to get that guy out of the game as fucking fast as humanly possible. And if you score a couple runs on him and you throw a couple donuts on when you guys are on the in the field, I mean, you're talking you get to their bullpen in the 4th or 5th inning and you got a 2-1 ball game or something. I mean, now you got this. That's the way you're going to beat them, right? Obviously. So
that was exactly like how I was feeling it was going. And then our first inning on defense, it was just so disappointing.
It was just a complete opposite of what you needed.
And it wasn't like it just was not competitive. I mean, our kid did his best, but like everything was like an easy take. Do you know what I'm saying? Wasn't like
pitching sort of scared, doesn't want to get hit. That's sophomore shit, dude.
Yeah.
You know?
Then there's all it was all that, and like I said, they competed hard. Whatever it was what it ended up probably should be. Like the youth we have, I'm hoping they all realize, and who knows, you know, that like you're close, but you're not there. What's the difference?
Yeah, I would have liked to see that game in the top of the 3rd. You guys up 2-0,
right? And
see how that ended
in the future. You need to be the dominant pitcher because we got some arms that are they're pretty good, but they're young. And then you know, if you're right there doing what you're saying, if you could, that's where you got to put put them away. Putting them away is like you said, getting up 2-0. Just hanging on to that, you know, making them this team that's supposed to be better than you fight. Because that's the thing. When they've only lost like 6 games all year. How many times have they been in the spot where there's pressure?
No, especially not when he's on the mound.
Right. Exactly.
Yeah, you get up
Everyone
2-0.
puckers a bit.
Asshole. It was words out of my mouth, man.
Mm.
Asshole puckers. Guys play tight. He'll start throwing more balls. You're going to see guys start kicking balls because they're starting to be like, oh shit, maybe this is possible that we might lose to these little dickhead Grizzlies. You know, I'm being honest.
Right.
That's how baseball works. But like you said, I can tell you right now, if you guys are up 1 run and your hitter grounds that ball up the middle and the guy makes that, he ain't making that fucking play. I can promise you that.
No, and you could see it was like kind of drifting away because they scored the 7 runs. It was 4, like I said, 4-1 after 2. So they get a run here, a run there. It wasn't like the floodgates open, but each time there was a little something. You're just like, because we were trying at the plate, but he was just getting better. Like you could feel it slipping away, even though it wasn't like, totally being flushed by
you
double here and another.
You sort of blew.
Yeah.
Hopefully you don't want your load to be blown by 1 run in the first, right? Right. You want it to be like a couple and then play good defense and be up 2-3-0. And now you got yourself a fucking dilemma on your hands for them. I mean, big dilemma. And getting high school hitters and players to calm down when they're the favorite of the 2 teams to win the game with their stud on the mound. Whew, that could have been a fun ending if you guys could have put some good defensive innings together. But you can't get free passes,
man. Immediately thought, get a 0 here, and this is going to be interesting the rest of the way. But
yeah.
Anyway,
well,
good luck to them.
That's why I love it.
Yeah. So, well, let's wrap it up. We're over an hour here, and we hope our listeners are still going to listen at this point. But yeah, it was fun doing the pod again, and we'll hit something. I don't know, next week whenever we have time. Now that I have more free time.
Next week. Yeah, my Saturdays are freed up, so we should be good to go weekly from here on out. Minus if one of us is on vacation or something like that. I have no more Saturday games, and I'm very thankful to say that. We still do have a week and a half left, so I have to count down those days. But kids are almost out of school. Congrats on being back on the baseball field. That makes me smile. I'm actually last thought, Coach Luna, who you know. The Hollister Hay Balers are in first place in their division. They play like in the A League with Palma, and they're getting ready for their CCS stuff. So he called me 2 weeks ago, and he's like, "Hey, what's your schedule like on Mondays?" I'm like, "I play golf every Monday, and then I pick my son up from school, and then we do homework." He's like, "You want to come out the next couple Mondays?" So I'm gonna go out there and get them ready for CCS myself. Go out there and work with the hitters a little bit and work with the infielders on Monday. So I'm pretty excited about that, and then get them ready for their CCS playoff run coming up. I think it's in a couple of weeks. I think they do like league playoffs first, and then they go into CCS playoffs. So I'm going to come the next couple of Mondays and work with their guys and see what they got going, and just kind of be a sponge and answer a ton of questions that the kids might have to have answered, and then hang out with Coach Luna for a few hours. So I'm looking forward to the next couple of Mondays. I'm excited.
That's good stuff right there. That's fun. Well, we're going to wrap it up here, and yeah, thanks for listening to this week's podcast, and make sure you're following us on Instagram and subscribe on YouTube, the live stream. So Kreuz, have a good week, and we will do this next week.
Sounds good. Peace.
Take care, everybody.